meet every fortnight on a Friday. We aim to have 3 breakout sessions as well. This is the first 10 minutes of the event. We open the doors at 12:25 so that you can get chatting with people whilst we welcome everybody in, and then we can have a proper good start at 12:35. And that's not an excuse to be late, by the way. 12:30 or 12:25 is great. So we aim to have 3 breakout sessions so you can get to know each other and talk to everybody in small groups. Everybody gets a chance to, at some point, pitch to the entire group. We don't do a 60 seconds round robin because it takes too long, but I do pick on 2 people semi-randomly, or I just choose 2 people that are interesting, or have got something coming up like an event or something they want to draw attention to. If that's you, let me know. And I'd love to get 2 of you to pitch to the group for 2 minutes at the end. We always aim to have a guest speaker. And that guest speaker always comes with something thought-provoking content for us as a business leader community. We are expert entrepreneurs. We have a very different set of needs, marketing needs, self-development needs than anybody else. So I always aim to try and get a speaker that's going to help us and aid us in our business and what we do. And we're also now launching our online community hub as well, which is accessible on the iPad, the phone, and the computer. At the moment, membership to that is free. So if you want more information about that, just ping me a message and I'll get you in that. We will be moving to this platform very, very soon. I'm just trying to work out the timing for it. But they have now got a go live function in here. So we can actually log in and run the event inside the platform rather than having to worry about Zoom links, which is going to be fantastic considering there's always a problem with somebody not having a Zoom link that works somewhere. It's going to bring it all together, but it is going to create another headache that everyone's got to have a login, and you might lose your login password, or it just might not work. So I've got to figure all this out before moving forward, which is all part of my MBA project. How wonderful. This makes life easier when you can do 2 things at once. So do try and make sure you come into the community, because that will help when we move over to that later on. For those of you who don't know, I am Naomi, and I am the founder of the Profile Company and the Expert Economy. The Profile Company specializes in writing LinkedIn profiles to position people as the go-to expert in their industry, so prospects come to them pre-sold and ready to buy. And also the Expert Economy, which evolved from the Profile Company, which is literally helping people build the foundations of their business so that prospects do come pre-sold and ready to buy, making sure all the right things are in place that they need. And that's obviously part of what we're doing today, is the community and being together. I'm the author of Grassroots to Green Shoots, What to Put on Your LinkedIn Profile, and the Expert Economy. And I also was part of the Rock Your Profile stand at LinkedIn's global conference twice back in the day. So I just had that on the slide. I don't know why I need to say that today, but I'm reading the slides. So there you go, piece of information about me. So the Expert Economy, what we are here for is really, like I said, having prospects come to us pre-sold and ready to buy, trusting us as their expert. Our goal is to have you billing 70% of your time, studying for 20% of your time, and 10% of your time managing all the pieces. Within that, you might ask, where is the sales and marketing? It's actually inside of the study time. We are experts at what we do. We are not influencers. We do not want to be Gary Vaynerchuk making lots and lots of content and putting ourselves out there massively, or using the F word a lot. We don't want to be doing that. We actually want to be working with clients, doing the work, the transformational work. We want to be bringing our expertise in, learning more, using it, seeing how it's evolving. And that's why I say 70% of the time billing. That's us working with the clients, doing the thing that we set out to do. Within that, obviously, we do need to do sales and marketing. But if I said to you, hey, here's 10 people, please go and speak to them about what you do and see if they can help, you can help them. You not only would love speaking to them and finding out what's going on in their world, but you'd also be learning more about your subject and how your topic is evolving in the marketplace today, and how those problems are actually showing up for people and what's going on for them. So that is you studying, that is you becoming an expert in your clients' problems and learning more. And then obviously you naturally are pulled towards blog posts, books, articles, all sorts of different things that you read. That again creates that inspiration that helps you to do better at your job. But both of these things are things that can easily boil over to you writing your own blog posts and writing your own content, which makes it feel like a really natural overflow of everything you're doing. And when we do that right, in the right way, that will lead us to having clients coming to us, seeing us as an expert, already sold on us being the person they want to work with, and establishing trust. So that's our goal, and our vision is to have experts contributing meaningfully in the world and getting paid for the value they create. And our mission is to develop experts into highly skilled entrepreneurs capable of transforming vision into action and making an impact in the world. Our values are be real, create space, and come in service. For you, what that means is, I get it, this is a really hard journey and it's going to bring you to the very, very edge of yourself. If anybody wants to go through a personal development journey and really grow themselves quickly, they should really start a business as an expert. It's really hard when you go to a regular networking to say, hey, this is my business, do you want to work with me? Oh, and by the way, I'm really struggling. You just don't, you put a mask on. If you go to your friends and family who are working, their usual response, because it makes them feel better, is to say, oh, I just think you should give it up and go get a job. This is all too difficult. Because that's their sense of security and what they know is safe. So it can be really hard. So here it's all about coming and being real, because I know that you can have a really good cry right now in an hour's time, deliver incredible work to your clients. So we're all in the same boat. We all get it. So we can all just be real about what's actually happening. And then with that, when we show that vulnerability, it's creating space for others to feel how they need to feel in that moment, and also giving ourselves the respect for us to feel how we need to feel. And then signposting. If you see something that you can offer somebody as a way of helping them move forward, we do that. We come in service, we help people out, and we move them forward. So that's who we aim to be. And obviously that's a we, because it's all on us to do that. And if you would like to, you can download a copy of my book, The Expert Entrepreneur, which is at that link on the website. You can also find it from the homepage on the website. So you don't need the last bit, you don't need to. You really need to update that, because it's theexperteconomy.com now. So .com, not .co.uk. And also you can buy the book physically in the shop as well. So we run 7-day challenges. The next one's coming up in May. We do a 9-week boot camp coming up in September, and ongoing all the time is the one-to-one coaching that I offer as well. If you haven't taken our scorecard already to see how much you've got sorted in your business already, then please do. Again, you can find that on the homepage of the website. It's a great little quiz there to show you how well you've got things sorted in your business, and if you're on track to having prospects coming to you pre-sold and ready to buy.
So welcome to my talk, which is the Antidote to Self-Development. And the subtitle is Take the Work Out of Wellbeing and Access Calm, Clarity and Confidence Without Endless Tools and Techniques. So here's a little bit about what you're going to experience. Oh, first of all, how to listen, because you probably don't think you need to be told how to listen, but I think quite often we're caught up in intellectual listening, aren't we? Trying to get information out of something, and we might want to take lots of notes. Now, I'm not saying don't take notes. If you want to, you can take some notes. It's up to you. But here's 3 things that I would invite you to do. The first thing is to listen with an open mind. I'm probably going to say some things today that might challenge your idea of how the world works. I invite you to listen like you'd listen to music. Just listen and let it wash over you. And focus on the feeling, not the words too much. So the content, here's the bit about what's going to be covered today in this talk. I'm not going to read all that out to you because you're grown-ups and you can read, but I'll give you a second to just scan it through. It'll all make sense as it unfolds as we go through the presentation. So first thing is a little bit about me and my story and how I come to be sitting with you. So you can see my story is in 3 parts. I was a primary school head teacher until March 2015, when I walked out of work and never went back. I didn't know I wasn't going to go back, but I actually had a massive burnout and became very, very ill. I've read a lot about burnout recently. I think it was Stress Awareness Month last month, wasn't it? And there was a lot of posts about stress and burnout and things. And but I see this kind of one fundamental cause of burnout, really, and that is living in the outside in, as I call it. And that is believing that it is the physical outside world, other people, circumstances, etc., that creates how we feel. And when we live in that understanding, when we believe the world works that way, we spend a lot of time trying to control that world, which is absolutely what I did. I was what you might call a control freak. So I was trying to control everything and everybody, from my ex-husband to my kids' lives to my career, and then even tried that with men on online dating, which really did not go well at all. So eventually, spending a lot of my time thinking about and trying to physically control the world, I burnt out, and that was me done for a year. And then on resigning, on the 1st of April, which is a comedy day to resign from my 20-year career in education, isn't it? 10 days after that, I got an invitation to train to be a hypnotherapist. So that's what I did. I don't do hypnotherapy anymore, but that is what I did at that time. And then I got into the inside-outside-in, which I will explain. And that is the idea that I could get a feeling by doing something to me. And I call that the inside outside in, because it's working on the inside of you, but with the outside world, and thinking that you can get feelings from the outside world. And that was my really quite strong self-development phase. I did a lot of things, books, podcasts, techniques, tools, therapy. It went on and on and on. And I never felt quite right going through that. And then in January 2020, I had some coaching with a friend of mine who'd trained with a quite well-known coach called Michael Neal, and I came to understand a different understanding of how life actually works and where our feelings actually come from, which you will find out a little bit more about during this talk. So that's a little bit about me and how I came to be here today. So why do we engage in self-development? I would love you to hop on the chat and let me know why you think we engage in self-development. I've got my own theories, but I'd love to hear from you. So I've managed to get the chat up on my screen. It's all going remarkably well after the initial technical hitch. But why do we do self-development? It can just be a few words. Why do you think we do it? Why is it? And why is it so super, super popular at the moment? To improve ourselves because things aren't going right. Yeah, I like that, Steve. I think that's definitely a thing. Heal pain and figure out how to cope with things I couldn't control by trying to control them. Yeah, there is always some irony there. Seeking truth and peace, feeling stuck. Yeah, definitely. It's the sense that we feel like, there's something missing and there's something wrong with us. Definitely. I totally remember feeling like that. So I've said things like, I think it's not feeling, thinking or behaving the way we want to. It feels like there's something to change. We might be feeling really close to we might be feeling really bad. I feel like we're close to crash and burn. I think there's something I saw there in the chat there, that kind of sense that we're the only one that feels this way. So we must need to do something about it because everybody else is normal, aren't they? And we're absolutely broken. And that's the other thing, feeling like we're broken, which I got a hint of in the chat. I think thinking that we're supposed to. I think when you step into the business world, it's like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're not doing it, you're failing yourself, failing your business. You're letting yourself down, you're letting the kids down, you're kind of letting everybody down. And so that sense that we think we'll fail if we don't, if we don't kind of develop this persona that we think we have to be. So here's my thoughts on why we need an antidote to that, all that self-development. So my thoughts on that is that, well, first of all, and I think I saw this in the chat really, and with what I've said, it comes from a place of lack and it comes from a place of judgment. Before we can embark on self-development, we have to fundamentally think there's something wrong. We have to judge something about us as being wrong, or see that there's something lacking in us. It seems to me that it involves endless seeking. We could literally go on and on and on and never find the answer. If you search how to feel more confident on Google, you will get hundreds of millions of hits. Where do you start with all of that? If you want to feel more confident, you could be doing it for the rest of your life. It takes a lot of time and it can cost a lot of money too. And I think it creates a lot of guilt. and the sense that you're failing if you're not doing it. The number of times I've heard someone say to me, oh, I should be doing this, that, and the other for my well-being, and I'm not. And there is masses of guilt around that, absolute masses of it. And it just can feel like it's an extra thing to do, isn't it? Like, have you all got long lists of things to do? Like really long lists of things to do? Do you need anything else to do? I don't think any of us do we? We don't need any more things on that list of jobs, but it can end up feeling like it's an extra to-do list, like an extra project on Asana. Other task management tools are available, of course. It can be easy to forget, you know, in the moment, somebody's told you, if you feel like this, you need to do that. And then in that moment, when you're feeling that awful feeling, you can't remember what you're supposed to do. So then you feel like a failure again. But fundamentally, one of the main things is it's not your wisdom. It's not your thing. And I think Naomi spoke a bit about this before I started, is it's somebody else's way of doing things. It's somebody else's old thinking. It's something that worked for somebody once upon a time. And I strongly suspect isn't working for them anymore, by the way, because it worked in that moment and now it doesn't work anymore. But they've written a book by then and created a program. So they're sharing it all over the place. And this is all completely innocent, by the way. Nobody's deliberately trying to hurt anybody else. It can make us become more noticing of the things that are wrong with, that we think are wrong with us. We become very self-conscious if we continue going, this isn't okay, how do I make it better? It's not okay, how do I make it better? And it puts more noise into your already very busy system, which has too much thinking in it anyway. So we might feel a bit better, maybe, but we might get the sense that if we don't carry on doing all those things, we're not actually going to sustain that. It's going to fall apart and all come crashing down like a house of cards. So I'd like you to imagine this. Imagine those things. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but imagine being in that place, but without all the work, without the sense that you're broken, without trying to fix yourself all the time. It is actually possible. Because what we really need, rather than all that self-development, is to understand how we are working psychologically. And we do this in all sorts of other aspects of life. So I'm sure you can all remember learning to drive. And the first time you get in the car, and there's so much going on, isn't there? There's knobs and handles and wheels and pedals and things on the dashboard, and then there's all these lunatics on the road outside as well. There's a lot to think about when you first learn to drive. But as you become more and more intuitive with your driving, when you understand how the car works, you can do all sorts of fun things. You can go places, you can choose nice routes to go places, you can avoid accidents, you can work with it in the moment, and it works really well for you. The problem with how we are taught about psychology really is that we're not really taught how we work. We're just taught all these things to do. When we understand how we work better, we can navigate our own way through life from this place of understanding how we work, just like we can when we can drive and we can do all those things we can do in our car. So I'm just going to share with you three common human psychological misunderstandings, which will hopefully help you to start to see how this antidote to self-development can be very different to all the tools and techniques that we've been told to use. So the first misunderstanding is that we tend to think our feelings are coming from the outside world, from other people, from our circumstances, from the news, from the weather, from, you know, the list is endless, isn't it? But it doesn't really work that way. In actual fact, when we feel a feeling, that is created inside out, not outside in. And that's why we don't all feel, first of all, that's why we don't all feel the same way in the same circumstances. If it was a circumstance that created our feeling, every human being would have exactly the same response to that circumstance, and we don't. And that's also why how we feel about a certain circumstance changes, even though that circumstance doesn't change at all. So I've got a little activity for you here. So I just want you to listen to these three pieces of music and just pop in the chat, just give the instructions before the music plays, just pop in the chat the first feeling that you experience on listening to each piece of music. Just quickly pop it into the chat so it's really quick, just the first instinctive feeling that
I'm beginning to feel like a rap god. All my people from the front to the back nod. Now who thinks their arms are long enough to slap box? They said I rap like a robot, so call me rap. But for me to rap like a computer must be in my genes. I got a laptop in my back pocket, my pinnacle walk when I hat cock it. Got a fat nap from that rat profit, made a living.
Oh, so city, que rico, papi.
Excellent. So I'm loving there's just so much there. The middle one is the one that makes me smile the most because we're all people of a certain age in here. You play that music to a teenager and they think it's ace, and we're like, it's stressful, it's awful. It's just the first one as well gets such a range of emotional responses. I use this activity quite often. And you know, it's interesting because it is a tragic piece of music. It's from Madame Butterfly, but we do get all sorts of, you know, like Naomi said, connected. You know, it's really different how we respond, and that's just a microcosm of life. That's one little thing is a piece of music. So you can imagine that kind of expanded across the whole of life. You can see how it's not the music creating the feeling. It's not life creating the feeling. It's something inside us that creates that feeling, not something on the outside. So the second misunderstanding is that we think our feelings are information about the outside world. And if we think that, we tend to make certain kinds of decisions. But again, that's not really how it works. Feelings are not telling us about the outside world. They're actually letting us know about what our state of mind is. And it's really handy to know that your feelings are letting you know about your thinking. It completely transforms how you work your way through life. So I've been playing on Doodly and I've created a cute little video for you to watch about this.
So let's take an example we're probably all familiar with, an occasion perhaps when we're angry with our other half, for example. If we think it's them that are creating the feeling that we're feeling, it'll look like we need to react to them, that we have to be angry with them, to shout at them, to try and make them stop doing what they're doing. When we realise that it's thought in the moment, something very different happens. We tend to slow down because we realise feelings and thoughts tend to pass. So we pause. We perhaps calm more and we respond.
So you can see from that when we understand what our feelings are actually telling us, we can have a really different experience. And it means we don't have to be involved in all those tools and techniques to manage our feelings or try and get rid of them, because actually they are purposeful. They are your wisdom. They are your guidance. And if you do try and switch them off all the time, you're going to miss useful information about how you're thinking and what's going on inside you. And the third misunderstanding that is really close to my heart is this misunderstanding that humans can be psychologically broken. Absolutely, we do learn to think from our experiences that we have in the outside world, but that does not take away our well-being. It just covers it up. So I like to think of our innate well-being as human beings as being like a diamond, and that's the opposite really of a lot of the self-development stuff. It kind of says you've broken, it's taken away, you have to try and get it back. We're not lacking like the self-development has us believe, but we have everything we need inside us. So here again is another little.
We are all born with innate well-being.
Show you that.
Traits like wisdom, love, confidence, resilience, calm, creativity, and a whole long list of other innate traits, which we can easily see when we spend time with babies and little children as they learn and grow. The diamond gets covered over with conditioned thinking. The things people say to us, the rules we pick up, misunderstandings, what people call us, what is right and wrong, often things said in anger. This is like the dirt that goes in. And then we develop conditioned thinking, which looks real to us. The things we believe are true, our rules of life. The things which upset us, what we believe about ourselves, what we think is right and wrong, every single thought which appears in our heads. That's like the dirt out. We're told that the diamond can be broken by the dirt, that our innate well-being is delicate like a glass. And from this model of lack, we start self-development. Things like stress management techniques, looking into the past, therapy, doing what other people say works, books and podcasts, and perhaps daily rituals. That's all the development. So what we can see from this is that we are a diamond. That's who we really are, which gets covered up by dirt, which then gets covered up by development. And although the development is a little bit more sparkly than the dirt, it's still made of the same thing. It's made of thought. That's why self-development is covering up your ability to connect what is innate in you already.
So hopefully you can see from that what really happens when we get involved in an awful lot of self-development is we just add more and more noise and more layers that take us away from reconnecting to that diamond. And what I said in that little clip about children is it's so easy to see, isn't it? You know, how many times does a little child fall down and get up while they're learning to walk? How many times does, you know, do they fail and fail and fail again, but they keep getting up because they have this innate resilience. And who is the first on the dance floor at every wedding and family party? It's the little children. They don't need 3 glasses of wine to get on the dance floor. They're just fine. They're confident. They have this innate confidence. So all those things we're born with, and they just get covered up. And unfortunately, the development then covers them up even further. So here's a little bit of a conclusion about why self-development is not the answer. First of all, because we're not lacking well-being. It's there already. We don't need to add it in from outside. But the self-development industry really does share with us a model of lack. Secondly, that we have a self-writing system. We have this innate well-being, but we're not being guided to see how that works and how easily we can connect to it. When we see that our feelings are telling us about our thinking, we self-correct. We don't need to do anything else. And we're being taught to suppress feelings, but that's actually like driving around with a piece of cardboard over your dashboard and wondering why you get done for speeding, run out of fuel, and you blow a head gasket, because you're not listening to the warnings that are there for us. We're not listening to our warning system properly. We're not getting curious about it. And so we're missing an awful lot of our guidance that's available to us. So if you're familiar with all these things, which I know we all are at some point, aren't we? I'll just let you read those. I won't read them out to you. But you would prefer to experience instead these things. And these really are the experiences that I've had over the last couple of years, and that my clients experience too. Just coming at life more from a place of peace and ease and feeling okay with yourself is so transformational. I'm feeling like you're being guided and not having to force everything in life. So if you prefer to experience that instead, then you can join my little 5-day experience, which is called the Antidote to Self-Development. You might have known it's an email experience over 5 days, so you can take longer than that to watch it if you want. And I will pop the link to that. Or if you've heard something today and you just think, actually, I'm ready to have a conversation with Claire, then I will also share my free hour of coaching in the chat too. So there we go.
Excellent. Thank you, Claire. Yes, Round of applause. Mary's leading us. If only we could hear each other, like round of applause. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think the key now is just to go into breakout rooms holding the energy of what Claire's just said and what's come up for you. And let's have a conversation with our small groups around like how self-development come up for us in our journey, how it's hindered us, helped us, and then formulate some questions and things perhaps we want to discuss with Claire afterwards. Because I think before you can ask a question, and in this environment it's quite vulnerable, we need to explore and get comfortable talking to each other. So I'm going to put you into a breakout room for Wonderful. Welcome back, everybody. How were your discussions? What were some of any specific questions come up or discussion points that you want to raise with everybody else? Anybody want to put their hand up and summarize what was said or ask a question? Yes, Mary.
I think we really agreed in our group that we'd all been on that same sort of journey from, feeling that we needed therapy and feeling that we need to learn all this stuff and read all these things and go to all these events, learn from all these other people, and then come into that realization that actually we can learn tools and techniques and strategies in our businesses in practical terms. But actually, if we're not truly being ourselves, then we're actually not doing ourselves justice or our careers or our business justice, because we're not able to shine our particular diamond light out, which is unique to everybody else's. That's what I believe. There's a message that we all have, or just something we all have to offer. That might be just within our family, might not be about business at all, and it's something that we're all there to do. It's really important to find. It's such a shame in many ways that people take such a long lifetime, or I have. To speak for myself, I've taken a long time to realize that, but it's one of those journeys of life, I think, which is very common to many of us.
Yeah, but you know what, the more you share that, the more you'll speed that up for everybody else. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think the key thing that I came up with was this understanding, especially around my book Grassroots to Green Shoots. It talks about me losing my first coaching business. It talks about a lot of variables as to why that was the case. But what I didn't realize then to even put in the book, and probably if you read it, you could pick up on a few of the essences of, like Claire would be able to spot it, I think.
Hello, welcome everybody. There's a few of us here, but that's okay. Thanks for the wave. Yes, a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. The weather is lovely this time around for a perfect and final day of the conference.
Yay. Who's doing this? I think that was...
And the past few days,
is Mark. Mark is two timing. Anyway, if you've got a technical glitch there, I've just solved you by muting you, but that's great. Sounds like America has woken up and wants to start a conference, so that's great. We're almost done, Mark, don't worry. I think one really key point I was making there was that when you train as a coach, you have to get into role plays to do the role playing of the coaching, and therefore you have to think of a scenario you want coaching on, and that can make you look inwardly all the time of what's not working, what's the problem. And so that started me on my coaching journey, and then when I did the NLP journey, it always came back to, well, what's not working for me? How's this not working for me? And in comparison, I had Daniel Priestley, who was starting his business up at the same time, and we would go to jive dancing classes. And he and his mates, their business was absolutely booming and doing incredible things. That was the beginning of his journey in London. And my whole life was nasal gazing and having nasal gazing conversations with other people, because that's where my focus was. And because of the training, because I needed, something that my partner could coach me on. And it really was almost the heightened, if you're going to go train in this area, it can get even worse than just going down it. So yeah, that was my sort of observation there.
I've heard that about people who train who train or do degrees in psychology, that they end up reading so much about mental illness and what it's like to be, that they end up actually not feeling well themselves, because they start to notice those traits in themselves, and then before they know it, they've kind of spiraled down into thinking that they're not well.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? The balance of how you train, and then how do you stay healthy at the same time? Like, I don't know what the solution would have been to what I was doing apart from having that perspective. But yeah, Okay, anyone else got anything to say before we, yeah, Louise?
So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. So you're kind of coaching, Claire, but you're coaching something. It's like, how do people, I mean, I think your little animations were brilliant, but how do you get, it's like coach something that is so simple. It's like, it must be the penny dropping. It must be kind of holding the space for people until the penny drops, because it's almost a non-coaching, isn't it? It's almost coaching nothing. It's getting them to be still enough to actually see it, what's there all the time, getting that rubbish, sweeping all that rubbish off the diamond. So that is almost totally opposite, isn't it, to what a lot of coaching, or what a lot of perception of coaching is about. That's
Yeah, and I think there's a few things there that come to mind. The first thing is that I think what happens is people tell me how they think life is working, and I teach them that it isn't working that way. That there's something around providing a sort of insight friendly space. So sometimes in coaching, particularly in group coaching, actually, we can just fall into silence, and it's actually the space that creates the opportunity for something new to come through. A lot of it is about creating space, but also it's an invitation for curiosity. Often it's where can you see how this is working like this in your life? You know, even I often say to people, just sit and keep your eye on the person next to you when you're watching a movie, and see the different emotional journey that they go on to you. It's all about helping people to see that this is a paradigm shift, really. We think life's been working this way our whole lives, and I'm saying, no, look over here, it actually works like this. And so it's always about the exploration is probably the most important thing, really, and people being open to see something new.